Hello there guys and girls, this is the Prussian Prince with yet another special video. This one is going to be about Total War Arena. Specifically, I shall be giving you my first impressions of the closed alpha as well as some important essential information about it. But let's start with the basics. So, Total War Arena is a team-based multiplayer strategy game with real-time battles, which you are allowed to bring 3 units that you can control on the field in a single battle. There are several historical commanders that you can choose from, such as Alexander the Great and Germanicus. A progression system is in place, which allows you to level up your commanders and units in order to unlock more abilities, equipment, and of course, new units. There's also a dedicated server that is essentially hosting the entire process, which helps to eliminate the lag that you could feel in previous Total War games, especially in team battles. But before I get more into the video, I would like to mention that the game is still in closed alpha, so everything that I'm talking about here is subject to change, so bear that in mind. Now let's move over to the currency system that is in place. Arena has 2 different types of currencies that you can use in the game. Silver, which is obtainable just by playing the game, and gold, which can be purchased using real money. Currently, there are units that may only be purchased with gold, but it is not possible to attain gold currency in the alpha, not at this moment at least. And the amount of points that you gain during a battle influences how much silver you gain at the end of it. But that is for later. I'm going to talk more about it. Now, as for the interface, well, I believe it requires some work, as a lot of different buttons. There are a lot of different buttons that cause different animations to play, which takes some time to finish. For instance, like when you click like this button to go to a tech tree, or like you hover over a unit or something, it takes some time. They're not exactly instant, and there's a transition. I would like there not to be a transition for the information to be given to you instantly when you want it. And additionally, descriptions of abilities and units are not very, how should I put it, clear at the moment, but I think all of this should change once the game is out of the alpha stage. As for the progression system, there are 2 different faction trees implemented at the moment. You have the Romans and the Greeks. However, there is a hint in the game that there might potentially be barbarian tribes, as you have that faction icon in the game, as you can see here on this screenshot. But yeah, regarding each faction tree, it consists of 3 generals each. The Romans have Julius Caesar, Germanicus, and Scipio Africanus. You start out with Julius Caesar and Germanicus, but you have to spend 10,000 silver in order to purchase Scipio Africanus. As for the Greeks, they have Alexander the Great, Leonidas, and Miltiades. Again, one of them may only be purchased by using 10,000 silver, and that is Alexander. There's also a tier system in place. You start out with tier 1 units and tier 1 commanders, and the maximum you can get to is tier 10 for both respectively. Currently, though, you may not progress above tier 5, as I believe they want to see how the progression system works up to that point and the balance. As for the tier of your commanders, it is independent of each other. Like, for instance, like if you have lots of experience on Julius Caesar, if he's like tier 5, doesn't really mean that Germanicus is the same tier. You have to use Commander XP to level up their abilities, which Commander XP is also shared for all the commanders. but you gain it by playing battles and doing well in them. But of course, the higher tier your commander is, and the higher tier his abilities are, the more commander XP you'll have to use in order to upgrade the commander. Now, each commander has what I like to call a specialization and subspecialization. The specialization can be one of assault, defense, or support, whereas subspecialization can be engineer, heavy, cavalry, or disruptor. These specializations and subspecializations affect what kind of abilities your units get, as well as which types of units get it. For instance, Germanicus only gives abilities to your melee and sword infantry. Once you have selected a commander, you can select 3 units that are not higher tiered than your commander to bring to the next battle, so keep that in mind. Now, there's a replenishment feature for units and consumables after battle. You have to spend the currency type required in order to replenish them, but as of now, only silver is required. As for consumables, they are essentially, like, you can bring 2 consumables per unit, and these require either gold or silver currency, and they are either passive or active ones. Like at the moment, for instance, you have the whetstone, which upgrades the AP damage, which is armor piercing for units, like for the heavy infantry, like Hastati and such. You can bring those consumables, but you have to replenish them once you use them. And of course, you can unlock new units by leveling up units that are previous to them. And with the previous units, you have to gain what is called unit XP, and it is independent of other unit types, but you gain by playing battles as well. And you have to go along a certain path to unlock the next unit. Like for instance, you have to buy like some equipment for your current unit, and then once you buy it, actually you have to research it first using unit XP, and then you buy it with silver currency, and then you keep going along that route until you find your next unit, and once you have enough unit XP to purchase it, you can purchase it. And also in the faction trees, like you can get to a certain unit by coming from Sele. You don't have to go across one path sometimes. Like say you can get to a cavalry unit by going from through the spear tree, and you can also get the same cavalry unit by going through the sword tree for that faction. Let's say that, for instance. That is what I mean. As for the graphics of this game, they are not quite, how should I put it? They aren't amazing, of course. They still look pretty good, but it's an alpha stage, so they can be improved further, and the game's performance isn't quite good at the moment. I mean, it's pretty fluid for me, but there are people who have had issues with it so far. But I can definitely say, though, that, as you have probably noticed in the screenshots, commanders look absolutely amazing in terms of how modeled they are. And the controls of this game are, how should I put it? They feel more responsive overall. You have a new camera system, which is called the Arena Camera. Whether you want to use it or not is, of course, entirely up to you, as the classic Total War camera is still included in the game. And the tactical camera now no longer has a transition time, which I feel will be a welcome change for competitive players. In Rome 2, you could not really use it, because it wasn't very helpful because of how long it took to open it. Like, it had a transition time. The right-click dragging feature over an area of the terrain to move your units is now different in terms of how you have to move your mouse to position them facing the direction you wish them to face, but you also can't really control the unit width and depth as you used to before. It's a little bit different, which I don't really like. I prefer how it was in Rome 2, but perhaps I'll get used to how it is currently. As for the battles themselves, the battle interface specifically, you can see at the bottom you have your commander, which is actually in your first unit. And he can die, and if he falls, obviously it'll have a bad impact on your units. But units now currently come back from routing very, very quickly, which you should be careful about. But yeah, there are a lot of abilities in the game that affect the performance of your units, and timing them is very important. Because some of the abilities have long cooldowns, others have low cooldowns. A few of the abilities affect the speed of your units, others the melee stats, weapon damage, and more. There are also supporting abilities, like Spot, which give you extra vision. Spot is an ability that some skirmishers can get. Of course, in the current screenshot that you are seeing here, you can see at the bottom, like as I said, your commander and your 3 units, as well as some visual indicators of like their tiers. Like you can see, first unit is tier 4, second one is, I can't see properly, I think it's tier 3, and then you have tier 5, as well as some abilities. You can see the first few buttons over there, like abilities that you can use. And there's also the blue bar is the HP of the unit. Like it doesn't actually tell you how many men are in the unit, but more like the HP of the unit. And the bar above it, I'm pretty sure it's morale, but I haven't really confirmed it 100%. As for the top left, of course, you can see the stats of your unit. For the most part, it's the same. Now in the top left and top right, you see how many units each army on the field has, like each side with 10 players, and you can see how many points each player has. And points affect how much silver and experience you get, like both unit experience and commander experience. Pikes, missiles, and artillery can cause friendly fire now, and there's a visual indicator for that. Also, a very important thing to mention is that missile units and artillery have infinite ammunition. Artillery units in particular have a mode called manual aim, similar to the artillery in World of Tanks. Essentially, once you use it, you'll be able to control where your artillery hits. And once you are past the loading screen, you have to choose one of the 10 spawn locations that your team has at its disposal, as you can see here. There may only be one player per spawn location, so choose carefully and lock in your spawn location before another player decides to. But you can see on the left like all the players and what kind of commanders they have, as well as the units and tiers they have currently that they're using in the battle. As for the goal of the battles, it is to send units to capture the enemy's base. The more units that you have capturing the enemy's base, the quicker it'll be captured, of course. But it's also like, if they have units there, they will not allow you to capture it so quickly, of course. Once you get to 100% progress of capturing the enemy's base, you will, of course, win the battle automatically. There's another way to win the battle though, and that is by being more cost effective than your opponent before the timer runs out. There are more important things to point out though about the battles, and that is the fact that there's no fatigue system. You cannot order your units to walk, they can only run. A spotting system is in the game, similar to the one in Rome 2. Like you don't automatically have vision of everything. You have to have units spotting around the map, and hills obstruct vision and such. And you also have a visual indicator for not only for friendly fire, as I told you earlier, but for also how much damage each missile shot, and if a unit is routing or if it's flanking, you get text above it. Or if it's getting flanked rather, not flanking. But it's very important to route the enemy units, and utilizing the information that you get that the game gives you is very, very important. But overall, I had a very good experience with the closed alpha so far. Of course, there are some issues with like performance crashes, and it's still being worked on. And I really like the concept of the game. It's 10v10, and I think it can really be something Total War needs, like a really good multiplayer system for Total War. I think this is a game that can potentially also break into esport. Not sure if 10v10 will be able to do it though, but like they might need more features like reconnecting to the game or like specific replay features and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think it looks promising based on what I have played. So I hope you found this information helpful, and if you want more, do not forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Share the video, and I will see you all later.